And up next is my fabulous co-host, Christopher Berinato.
On a lovely spring morning in the year 1890-something or other, Germany's most notorious mesmerist and Austria's royal dog trainer met at an appointed time in the market square of Münster's St. Paul Cathedral. They were to have a duel of sorts, here in this neutral battleground, with the Saturday morning shoppers serving as unwitting, unbiased witnesses. The mesmerist and the dog trainer would test and compare their powers of persuasion against each other. Each one was accompanied by a subject on whom to demonstrate their abilities. The mesmerist, Fraulein Helena Schmidt, had under her sway a wealthy industrialist, the owner of several mines in the Ruhr region. The dog trainer, a German shepherd named Kaiser, had a banker from Berlin at the end of his leash. After polite introductions and sincere declarations of mutual respect, Helena asked the German shepherd, "Kaiser, you are one of the greatest dog trainers in Europe. Considering that you yourself are a dog, how is your method different from other trainers?" Kaiser moved his mouth as though he were choosing thick hazelnut spread, and a voice unrefined yet articulate emerged. "I hear in your tone a hint of skepticism concerning my abilities as a trainer," Kaiser said. "It is true that as a dog I have a particular advantage over my human counterparts when it comes to training those of my own species. After all, I speak the same language. My methods are rather simple, but they aren't always easy. I train police dogs, military dogs, dogs for the Royal Guard, all of whom are of the purest breed and in peak physical condition. It is a difficult matter of asserting my own will over theirs. To do this, I first wrestle them until they are weakened, and then I mount them until they submit to my dominance." "I see," Helena pondered. "So why have you brought a banker with you today instead of a police dog?" "It felt only fair that our subjects be of similar makeup for this friendly competition," Kaiser answered. "A human pitted against a human will hopefully provide a more accurate summation of our abilities. Don't you agree?" Helena examined the banker. He was almost the mirror image of her industrialist. Both men appeared to be in their 60s. They both wore expensively tailored wool suits and top hats, and they both shared the same self-satisfied smirks of men with too much money. Helena asked, "How are your methods different with a human subject?" "They aren't," Kaiser replied with a wink. "I bit him on the ankle, dragged him to the ground, and then humped him until he submitted to my commands." Helena said with a sly smile, "I too can make a man submit to my commands by humping him, but I choose to use more subtle means. Observe." Her eyes were obscured by heavy lids. One could not even tell the color of her irises because they appeared as mere slivers, as though she were staring into the sun. Helena commanded her industrialist to remove his sunshades and look at her. Her eyelids lifted slowly, like curtains from a cinema screen. Her eyes widened, revealing two jade orbs with black pupils that swallowed light like an empty well. Her eyebrows arched diabolically. The industrialist's soulless gray eyes became spinning black and white pinwheels. "Sit," commanded Helena. He obediently sat down on a bench. Recognizing from this action that the game had begun, Kaiser lowered onto his front legs, raised his tail straight up, and snarled at his banker. The banker reflexively held his hands up in defense and whimpered. "Sit," Kaiser barked. The banker dropped to the ground without hesitation, sitting on his hindquarters on the cobblestones. Helena hissed another command at her industrialist, and he hopped up and down on one leg. In response, Kaiser growled, and his banker executed a wobbly handstand. Helena nodded in admiration. "Does your man know how to catch?" she asked. "It depends," replied Kaiser. "Can your man throw?" Helena produced a cricket ball from a hidden pocket in her dress and handed it to her man. Kaiser issued a two-bark command, and the banker stepped back 10 paces, waving his hands above his head like a castaway flagging down a ship on the horizon. Neither the industrialist nor the banker was athletically inclined, so their game of throw and catch was clownish and brief. The industrialist cocked his arm back until it almost touched the ground, and then spun his limbs like a broken windmill, sending the ball in a high arc over the banker's desperately flailing hands and through the window of the church rectory with a loud crash that drew the attention of the market-goers in the square. "Scheiße!" Helena and Kaiser cursed in unison. With an audience gathering, the mesmerist and the dog trainer decided to continue their competition and pull out their very best tricks. There were roars of laughter and applause from the crowd as the banker and the industrialist performed like marionettes with increasing vigor. Helena flashed her mesmeric eyes, and her man sang Puccini in falsetto. Kaiser hopped from side to side, barking madly as his man performed clumsy pirouettes and grand jetés through the air. The industrialist ooped and waddled like a chimp, while the banker arched his back on all fours and yowled like a frightened cat. They juggled, folk danced, to music like this, apparently, and recited mangled Shakespeare, tumbled and flipped and pratfalled, miraculously without ever losing their top hats. Back and forth, the panting men performed outrageous feats to the delight of the audience, until Helena and Kaiser had almost exhausted their entire repertoire of tricks. When no other commands of value were at the disposal, Helena and Kaiser both shouted, "Shake!" at the same time. The industrialist and the banker tightly gripped each other in a sweaty handshake. Whether it was because they were relieved to be performing an act that they both were comfortable with, or it was an unconscious facial tic that comes naturally to rich businessmen when they shake hands, the men smiled smugly like a pancake baron and a syrup tycoon who had just made a lucrative deal. "Well," said Kaiser, "I suppose we must call it a draw." Helena laughed and scratched Kaiser affectionately behind the ear, while the industrialist and the banker wagged their coattails and ate sweets out of the hands of happy children.